Darricks alts. Darricks alts. Hello and welcome to this casted game between myself, Hippie, playing as 7 Panzer again, and I'm up against Darricks, playing as Berlin Gropers. Now, you may be saying, hang on, this translates to Lazy Boy, which is also Lathan's in Norwegian. But yeah, trust me, this is Darricks. I know for a variety of reasons. First reason, the way he plays. Second reason, his smug aura. I can feel it emanating through the screen. And third reason, he's got like 70 games and a 90% win rate. So that's how you know it's Darricks. So let's talk about the deployments and then we'll jump into the game. Starting off with my deployment, I've got on the far left here a Spezialaufklärer going to here. In the middle, one going to here, one going to here. Behind them, a recon helicopter, some additional recon. 2 CVs, one going to Delta, one going to Bravo. And yeah, for the town on the right, we've got Spezialaufklärer going to here, regular Aufklärer going to here, and Estrella 2M going to the church. As we've discussed in the past, religious people can see further than atheists, so you want to put your guys in churches where possible. Look at the vision compared to the building next door. And then the main axis of my push is this, so 2 T-72Ms. They've gone up in price a bit. I still think they're too good for their price. 2 Cubs behind that, so they're going to here with a supply for them. And 2 Motschützen in BMP-1 SP1s, Estrella, and a military police, and they're going to here. So my general game plan is push into Alpha and win before Untermensch can scale with its units. Basically, the way 7th works is you get a lot of T-72s, and you keep the aggression on, and you're very, very strong in the mid game. Untermensch is a bit different. They get all of the forward deployment of 4th Motschützen, so they're a better 4th, and then they get the sustain of KDA, and they get heavy tanks, and they get really good artillery. They're an OP division, but 7th is also an OP division. Between them, I do think Untermensch is a bit better, but there's not much in it. Switching to Darricks deployment, and you see that on the far left here, he's got 1 SPG-9 going to here, and a forward deployment Strela, because he gets those going to there. I should know that 4th does not get forward deployment Strelas. Another reason why... Sorry, I keep calling them Untermensch. They're called Berlin Gropers now. I apologise. This is another reason why Gropers are better than 4th. And this is another reason why I know it's Darricks, because he's using this unit. 4 men, 25 points, no AT capability, just used for recon saturation. You can put them basically everywhere, and they're quite cheap. Got a CV going to Charlie and another CV going to Alpha. The CV on Alpha is an infantry CV, which is better than a vehicular one. Then we've got his picket line, his 4th Motschützen deployment picket line. So yeah, I mean, I might as well go through it one at a time. So we've got SPG-9s going to these positions. So quite aggressive, but you can afford to do that when they're forward deployment, and they are quite cheap. Behind the SPG-9s, we've got some FBGhNGJaWo9EoMADK8. Gropers get 2 cards of FBGhNGJaWo9EoMADK8. 4th only gets 1. And they're going to the same positions, basically, so backing up the SPG-9s. And then we've got 5 forward deployment Strelas, and they're going to the same places as the SPG-9s. So yeah, this is another thing. Strelas, 7th gets them as well. I bring them on 7th. Look, I've got one right there. Basically, these cost 20 points, and they're really good. And you get 12 in a card if they're the regular ones. I can't remember if the forward deployment ones get less. So yeah, if you keep in mind that an armored helicopter is 120 points, you can buy 6 of these. So I think they're too cheap for what they are. But yeah, I get them as well. I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying in general it's OP. 2 more Mock Grenzers. And then, yeah, 4 T55 AM2s all going over to here to fight my T72s. The AM2, 95 points. It's pretty good, but you got to be at close range. But yes, 95 points. The AM2B is the one with the ATGM. This one does not have an ATGM. So with the deployments out of the way, let's get on with the game, and I'll be casting it from my perspective because I'm me. So they're off and everybody's going to where we said they were going to go. Not much to say while we wait. We've already covered the deployments. We've covered where everybody's going. It's worth noting that I believe Unternehmen does not get a long-range recon patrol team. But they get more than enough forward deployment stuff. The FBGhNJaWo9s, the Strelas, the Metis. It's basically just imagine 4th Motschützen, except it's also a good division outside of that. So it's very hard to shift these 2-man teams when they're in building. So yeah, this was a bit of a mistake. I should have just ran him away straight away. But yeah, the recon helicopter gets hit by 6 Strelas or something. Keep in mind, 1 recon helicopter costs 3 times the price of one of these. I do see this guy, or I saw him unload and then disappear. But yeah, this man is not long for this world. There are a lot of people here. Very, very cost-efficient unit composition. Then I buy a bomber, which was probably not a good idea because, well, you might say, well, he's going to get him. And indeed he does. But that was like 60 points worth of units I just killed for 235 points. And I almost died for it, even though, you know, these guys only have like 40% accuracy. They're really good. 30% ECM. And yeah, now I'm like even more outnumbered. So it was a mistake to buy that bomber, basically. I could have just done with 2 more T-72s instead, because as you can see, there's a lot of trash over here. Well, it's not even trash, it's all high-level stuff. I mean, obviously the T-55s are nothing to write home about, but these FBGhNJaWo9s are really good. You see how he's sending the 7-man teams in front of the 2-man teams? But the problem is that I can't see him, because my recon that was here is dead. I can't see any of these guys. But yeah, we've spotted him over here, so this guy's going to come over and kill him. And I know this is here too. So yeah, like I'm trying to use the T-72s, but there's just so much stuff. There's so much stuff, and I've only got 1 supply vehicle, and it takes quite a while to supply now. So attacking into this was a mistake, really. But I just felt like I had to use my units, but this was a big mistake. So I try and smoke, but then I got hit by additional T-55s that I wasn't expecting, so I actually lose one of my T-72s here, and I lose both my BMP ones. So lots of mistakes here for me. And there we go. 5 more T-72s coming in, and a recon helicopter, some supply, a cub. Interesting decision to bring a cub and not a buck. The buck is better, but it's a lot more expensive, so maybe he went for the cub on a cost efficiency basis. I don't know, you'd have to ask Darricks. And then, yeah, we've got a faggot over here as well. He's using the forward deployment faggots, which most people don't really bother using. But in this kind of lineup, it's just an additional ATGM. The thing is, it's 50 points, whereas if you pay 15 more, you get a meta squad, which is better. The range on this is higher, but it's a 2-man squad. These guys are like special forces and everything, 8-man squad. So the Metis is a lot better. They also carry the same amount of ammunition. Metis has more pen, but yeah, it's the range, right? He wants something that has more range. And you see that I basically just can't use my units. You know, I'm shooting, but I'm not... I mean, even if that had hit, it probably wouldn't have one-shot it. So, yeah, I'm running off. I'm keeping my military police with my tank to keep the cohesion good. That's why I use them. But with these guys being resolute, it's actually not that much point. And then I see this coming over, and I realise that I'm basically totally boned at this point in the game, because he's now going to find out that I have nothing over here, because even if this thing one-taps it, you know, he's seen this shoot, he's seen this shoot, he knows that there's not much over here because he's flying over it. Sadly, I didn't get the first hit off. If I got the first hit, he maybe wouldn't have been able to see everybody in the town. But yeah, you need 2 hits to kill it because it's 6 HP anyway. So yeah, now I've taken some bad trades. I've lost both my tanks, but now I've got this bigger problem, which is that he now knows that this is basically empty, and he has a massive numerical advantage, which is what playing Gropers gets you. I almost called them Unternehmen again. A lot of people have been asking me why they bothered to name the division such strange things back to back. Like I said, I don't name the divisions. So on this side, my T-72, I think that was technically a side shot. Like, I knew this was here and I right-clicked on it, but he still turned a bit slower than I expected, maybe because he was on normal cohesion or something. And yeah, I'm continuing to advance, which is obviously not intelligent because I don't actually have recon, so I can't even see this, even though it's quite close, because I don't have recon, because all my recon died. And now I'm trying to reinforce this because I know I'm about to get attacked by a big spam blob. But yeah, I'm advancing here because I know that he's going to attack over here, so that's why I moved this guy forwards as well, but that was a bit of a mistake because now the tanks are going to start lighting him up. And at close range, I can beat these guys, basically, which is kind of the point. The faggots have a minimum range of 350 meters. But yeah, without recon, it's kind of hard to see people. And then, yeah, I was shooting this, so he gets first shot off on that. But I get second shot off. It's not really worth it. Like, I lost that. Even though I just killed 4 of his units for the loss of 1 of mine, I lost that trade because his units are a lot cheaper than mine. So that was a mistake, and I'm continuing to reinforce this, but you know, I'm trying to shore this up, but it was a mistake. Yeah, so I've loaded these guys back up now. Oops, one sec. Really sorry for the interruption there. I was just I was cooking some chicken and my alarm went off to cook my chicken. But yeah, because these guys don't have AT, you know, and these guys have the minimum range, I just sort of drove this in. Although I'm not using this properly, I should move it forwards and shoot that. And so here is attack begins, and then I've got the same problem again where the Conkers physically can't shoot fast enough to kill all the rubbish. But it's targeting the tank, which it shouldn't be really. I wish it had targeted these transports. So I loaded these guys back up and sent them over to here to try and get over there super fast. I bought some stuff for this. I bought a helicopter, which is probably a mistake just because of how bad helicopters are. You know, it's 170 points. We already covered that. These are 20. So if you're playing against a good player, every push is going to have a few of these mixed in, and then you can't use the helicopter. So yeah, maybe 1 helicopter is a good idea, but you'll see that you know, it doesn't work out too well for me. So my picket line here has been broken through by just waves of rubbish, and now I've got nobody back here because I was reinforcing this side. So I'm trying to move forwards and stuff, but basically my skill is just not good enough because I figure, well, I should get forwards and kill him because he shouldn't have that much here. So helicopter, you know, helps a bit because he's not got his AA with his guys, but you know, I'm sort of slowing him down a bit here. The issue is that he gets heavy tanks as well as everything else. It's kind of hard to beat these guys because of that. Like, they get the really cheap rubbish, but then they also get heavy tanks, whereas somebody like KDA or TKS, they don't get this mix. Another division that gets this mix is Berlin Rifles, but then they don't get long range. You know, West Berlin, they don't get long range AA. So it's an interesting division for sure. You know, I don't know what they're gonna do with it, because right now it's just everything. Like you see, obviously I can't trade into the TAE. But yeah, the helicopter may have paid for itself, probably not. But you see that these T-55s with the NSVTs, as soon as the NSVT starts shooting at the helicopter, it just gets stunned immediately. So that's why he's running them forwards like that. And sadly, you know, my mot shots, I sent it over here because I thought this BMP-1 would come over here, but it, you know, it should have been here really. And then, yeah, this guy's, see, just immediately, I'm useless now. Can't even align in time. Yep, cool. So the guns on these guys are kind of useless. Once they run out of rockets and co-cons, you need to get them back. The gun's pointless because if they can shoot back, then they're going to stun you straight away. So my plane's back up from before, that plane that I bought. So we nail 1 T-55, but I should have gone for these two really. This guy's low cohesion now, and as long as, like, I mean, look, he's got 5% accuracy on that, it doesn't matter, it just stuns me immediately. So yeah, sadly the mot shots a miss. And then they hit, but it won't one-shot it, and then I lose the CV to that. We've managed to stabilize it a bit. I'm trying to attack over here, but once again, you know, he's got a lot of cheap two-man teams that he can just sort of put everywhere, like the faggots and stuff. And yeah, so having a bit of a problem now because these guys don't have anti-tank, and this guy used all 6 missiles on those 2 tanks there. So I need to move up the T-72 really, which is what I'm doing. And you see, like, you know, because they're so cheap, you can just put one in the middle and just, you know, force your enemy to deal with that for the next couple of minutes. So I kill that T-55, but at the loss of one of my infantry, which is not really what you want. And then we see, I think this map is imbalanced towards blue sides, and this is one of the reasons why, is that you can just put a guy in this house, or better yet, you can actually put him behind the house, and it will still cap the zone. You can also put him here, and you can just smoke him up. He's got the mortars, but he's not bothering with the smoke, I guess, because he doesn't need it yet. Over here, I get this guy dead to rights with a side shot, but, you know, he's still alright, and then my second one misses, and then I'm going to get stunned and die, so it's kind of sad. Darricks doing a great job of keeping his guys alive and sending them back. Because, well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're dying now, but he'd sent them back to res them, and then... Not sure what happened there. I think maybe one of these tanks shot it at the same time, because like, I was trying to shoot this guy, right, but it automatically turned to face the tanks. I get a lot of misses with my tanks, and then the T-80B survives. This guy doesn't manage to kill him. He does hit this, but now he's going to die, and there's just too much infantry here now. So, trying to attack a bit on this side. I get the CV in. But he gets shot at by this agate, I think. Presumably. Yeah, so... There you go, I basically died straight away. So I should have used the mortar and smoked this up, but I was busy smoking up his T-80B on this side, so... My mistake. I finally get a CV back in here, and I know he's in here because I saw him drop in when my mot shot was over here. I saw him drop in. So I'm trying to stabilize it, but basically once Gropers get into your town, it's really hard to get rid of them because they just get more efficient infantry than you. I mean, right now he's using my infantry, but just generally, you know, he could spam some VOPOS. I don't see any VOPOS from him. He's probably testing something. That's another reason why I know it's Darricks. So I know that I'm basically, you know, it's going to be borderline impossible for me to get back into this town. So that's why I'm going a bit harder here. But you see just how much I've lost. I really just don't have a lot of anything. So yeah, some more infantry for this side. Recon helicopter just to cover the side because I know he's sending guys around the sides. But yeah, you know, he's just got more infantry than me, and you know, good play with the Panzer and the Pioneers mixed in with the Motshots and pretty potent combo. So yeah, my infantry's coming in dribs and drabs, so I'm just too far behind really. So over here I do manage to get in, but there's 10 million guys in here, so not going too well. And I get all these guys in, but you'll note I've only got one AT unit in here, just because the Panzer came in first, but yeah. And then these, you know, 120 millimeters, because I'm in quite a confined area, it's actually really useful. So you see that he stuns up all these guys. I believe that KPV just got direct hit by a mortar and blew up. And you see how good the 120mm are. This is another thing that Unternehmen can do, is that they also get one of the best arty tabs in the game, if not the best arty tab. So he can also fire Euroguns at me, and he's got the points for it now. So yeah, at this point I'm just kind of too far behind. Difficult to catch up. You know, he doesn't even have to bother with making sure his infantry goes first or whatever, just because there's just so much stuff. And then the Eurogun comes in, and the second one stuns up my CV tank, and then it gets routed, which isn't fantastic. And yeah, I just can't get sufficient numbers at T-72. So you see, he's just leaving the T-8B at the back and letting it use its stuff. So when this guy gets routed, he just, you know, he decides he's going to go over here now. So he moves out the zone. But yeah, some more infantry down here, backed up by T-55s with one T-80 behind. So that's how you play them. I'm back in here for what it's worth, but you know, I need some supporting assets. So I got some flame tanks because I saw that there was just loads of cheap stuff over here. And yeah, the flame tanks is doing alright, but against 3 infantry and a tank, you know, it's there's a limit to what can be done. I get his CV because he never bothered to move it. But I believe this dies on its way out to the Strela. These guys are pretty good. This is the 80-point tracked one. It's better than the 60-point wheeled one in terms of its effectiveness. Like, you see the range is quite good. And then, yeah, I've just got this problem where I just don't have any stuff. So now I'm reversing back into the zone. I'm not, not sure about that. But yeah, like this guy needs to be back here and then some infantry in front, but then I don't have any infantry because it all keeps dying. The Cubs are now exposed. T-55s everywhere. I get this guy back into the zone, but he's revealed now. Oh, I mean, he obviously would know where it would be anyway. But yeah, I just don't have enough stuff. I've taken too many bad trades. And yeah, on this side, this guy's doing alright for himself. He's got the TOs behind, like he's just running Panzer towards me one at a time. And that's not going to work when there's like 5 things shooting at them. So yeah, on low cohesion with 4 units shooting at him, he just one bangs that tank. So, you know, sometimes you need to get good. And over here, you see that the T-72s can beat the T-55s when he does this. But there's just so many of them. I lose this Cub as well, which didn't really have to happen. And I actually have ownership of this zone. For a few seconds there, I was ticking up, but obviously it's not for long, because now he's just bought 2 more CVs. Yeah, I mean, I could continue to drag this out, which is what I did in game, because I wanted to see what would happen. But this game's basically over. So yeah, there's a few minutes left. I'll just speed it up. I don't want to waste any of your time. I was just trying to work out like what the hell's going on. Why did I lose this? It's always good to take some time to think about these things. So I bought this, which is probably a mistake. I'm not sure what happened to the last one. Probably died to something that cost 1/10 its price. And you see, you know, you just yeah, very difficult to do anything. Against any good player, it's very difficult to use helicopters, particularly if they're on the pact, because there'll just be igloos everywhere. And then, yeah, you see the faggots here messing me up. I'm trying to get back in on this side, because I figure I'm never getting back in here, although I am still trying. I managed to kill a lot of his T-55s that he just sort of sent forwards, but crucially that gave him time to reinforce the town. T-55 AM2Bs can be good for you know, standoff 2,800 meter range engagements, but you don't want to drive him too much closer. And he gets his own stuff with ATGMs. So over here, I am wearing him down. He just sort of ran out of missiles eventually, but my mortar's out of smoke. And yeah, we get back in here for what it's worth. But as crucially, my Cubs died, so he just chucks this at me, and that'll kill that. And he's still got the Euroguns. So now the Eurogun shoots over here and takes away all my local force advantage, I suppose you could call it. I did buy an Acacia for counter battery, but I didn't use it very well, because as you can see, it's not doing that. And it was a mistake to buy that Acacia anyway, because I needed more units. This is 220. I could have bought, you know, some infantry and a T55 for that, or a T72 and 1 infantry, something like that. And yeah, you see that, you know, I started playing better in the second half of the game, sure, but as soon as you fall behind against Gropers, there's nothing you can do, because well, that's not true. It's very hard to come back into the game from this sort of situation, because they get so much cost-efficient stuff. And so yeah, I get in here, but then he clusters that as well, and that was my last CV, so I GG'd. And yeah, this is definitely Darricks. You can always tell, because he's got absolutely huge win rate, very few games. He goes on the ladder, he you know, beats people up, and then he gets a new ult as soon as his elo goes up enough. He gets a new ult, so he can start from 0, and then he can take everybody's elo again. And because he works for the company, he just gets loads and loads of free ults. So I've seen at least 10 people that are obviously him, but you know, maybe you've seen more. But that's just sour grapes. I got fundamentally outplayed, and I deserved to lose that game. His strategy was better, his micro was better, etc., etc. The rest is cope, really. So good game, well played.